So now that everything's tacked up like I want it to, I am certain that everything's tacked in good enough that it's not going to move when we start bolting everything together. Normally I would already have the U-bolts on, but the customer thought he had brought them. I thought he had brought them and he hadn't brought them, so we were both wrong and I had to go get them the other day. So in the meantime I was using the clamps. I'm going to go ahead and put the U-bolts on and the brackets and everything, and then I'm going through and tighten everything down. Remember when we talked about tightening stuff down earlier in the video, or the last video, I'm not sure when it was, but there's splines on these bolts. That is because we will hammer these in, and that helps hold them in place so that they don't move, and the leaf spring can move around it and the bolt won't move and wallow the hole out. So it's kind of a one-time set deal. That's why we've waited till now to do it. And like I said, I believe everything's tacked in good enough that it's not going to move, and I can officially hammer stuff in and torque it down like I want to get a true fitment of how everything's supposed to be. And with all the measurements that we pulled, I am confident everything is where it's supposed to be. We'll pull measurements one more time once I put the U-bolts on before officially tightening everything down. As you can tell, I think you can see it, it's on the other side here. This one shim is sticking out further. That means that it's shimmed up as good as it's going to get. I got it wedged in there and it's doing what it's supposed to do. So now we'll undo the clamps. I sound out of breath. It's because it's cold out here and it is really hurting. Whew, trying to talk to y'all and do all this work. Now that the U-bolts and everything are hand tight, what I will do next is go through and tighten everything. So I'll take the ratchet and go ahead and tighten these down. There's not a certain torque spec, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. One thing to note is after you put all this together and the trailer's put together, if you'll take it and drive it down the road a little ways and then come back and retighten these, they're locking nuts as we talked about before, so they shouldn't back off. But other equipment, the springs once they get pressure on them, they change. They'll change, they'll expand, they'll contract. The spaces will move. So stuff will move, and you can actually get more. You can actually get these nuts tighter down onto the bolt. Alright, so that'll do it for the U-bolts. We'll pull the spacers and the shim out, and then we will wrench down on the shackle bolts. The cool thing about this new camera with this big screen, it just makes it so nice. I can pull it off the stand, really get up here and show y'all what I'm talking about. As you can see right here, the bolt, it has these splines on it right here. The rest of the bolt is normal other than the threads on that side. But it has these splines right here. Quick tip, the first to set it, I'll take a hammer and I'll give it a quick tap to set the splines. That way the bolt won't move, and you really don't even have to put a wrench on this side. You go to the other side with your ratchet, which is the nut, and you can start tightening that down. Also, to get in really close, and let's see, get it just right. You can see there, you see them little dimples in it. That's what I was talking about, the locking feature. That the little dimples, they squish the thread and make this a locking nut per se. So this camera's really nice as far as doing all this. Alright, so I got my dead blow, and to set the splines on the bolt, just give it a quick tap, and that makes the splines dig into the bracket here. So we should be ready to tighten this nut down. And you'll see as I tighten this down, these splines should pull into the bracket. Alright, this is a fairly large nut. This is a 7/8, so it is fairly big. You can see as I tighten it down, them splines are going deeper and deeper into the hole. All right, somewhat same process when I do the back ones. I'll take the hammer, give each one. All right, so I hammered them about halfway in. Hopefully that grabbed good enough. And they came right back out. All right, so in this situation, the only choice I have is to put a wrench on that back side.
Alright, so what you see here is what I was doing with the grinder a minute ago. Basically, the trailer frame here is round. This bar here, or extension bar, extension bracket, whatever you want to call it, is square, so it creates a little divot in between the two. And to get a good true weld, you really want to be able to get as deep into that crack as possible. So I took the grinder and I rounded the square edge of the extension bracket here and made it round just like the trailer edge here is round. That allows me to get deeper in there. Two, it allows me as I'm welding to have somewhere to put the weld. What you'll notice on a lot of butt welds is pretty much what this is, two square pieces put together. There's nowhere for the weld to go, so you end up with a really tall bubble gum looking weld. But by digging this out and being able to get to the bottom of that crack there, there's somewhere for the weld to go and creates a flatter profile for the weld.
Alright, so here we are. It's getting toward the end of the day. The sun is getting ready to set behind a tree, so I just do have a little bit of light left to do stuff with the camera. I've got everything mostly welded. The extension brackets or bars are welded on 3 sides, and the U brackets are welded on 1 side. I'm fairly certain nothing's gonna move at this point. So what little bit of light I have left, I'm gonna pull the tires or the wheels off of the old trailer, go ahead and put them on this trailer, so that way hopefully we can have this thing in the shop this evening, and the next day I get back out here we'll be working in this shop with the heat.